Lead time, ladies and gross weight guys. Peruse your proof of delivery, hoist full sails on the guitar boat, and spray liberally for bus fleas.
I knew something itched. It's time to talk Tull to me.
Psst, psst. They take him back to the hive. The flea hive. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Moans.
And this, my beautiful groupies, is Talk Tull to Me.
A dartboard tour across the great vista of prog rock in which Noise Curfew Nick and Oil Spot Omen will set off a quick blast of pyro for each and every track that rumble strip rock band Jethro Tull have ever left standing forlornly at the load dock at 1 a.m. We will cross-load the cacophonous sounds of Jerry Conway, bribe Martin Barr to buy out the Bunk Bunnies with his brilliance, and roll out the Visqueen with Mozart Reborn, Peter John Vitesse. And if we can trim up our transpo, quick connect our quad, and round up the Marlin Randos, we may just get the distant nod of approval from the backstage berserker, the hospitality rider hypnotist, the gaff tape geezer, the slide-out Scotsman, Ian Advance Anderson.
Is Marlon Rando the name of a drag queen? Because it really sounds like it.
That's great. No, but Visqueen is.
Is that a reference to something?
No, Visqueen is just a sheet of plastic that you use to protect equipment.
Oh.
Marlon Randos are the people who are like hanging around the tour bus that you're like, or getting in the way of your load in and load out.
Yeah. Is that an actual term, like a tour term?
It is, according to the internet, yes.
I trust it. Implicitly.
Yeah, 100%. Fun little trip down the terminology lane. I looked up tour
lingo.
Tour talk.
Yeah.
Tour lingo. And didn't realize that the bunks that people refer to are literally, they're like on a ship. They're on the bus, you know, because you have to sleep so many people. You might have 3 high stacks of bunks that literally are the size of a coffin where you sleep or cry.
Yeah, that'd be a little too snug for me, I think.
There's a slightly more luxurious version that has more headroom where there are only 2 bunks in a stack.
Oh, goodness. That's for the VIPs, clearly.
It makes the pod hotel that I stayed in New York seem like the Shangri-La.
You never told me about that. How did that go? Was it everything you hoped and dreamed?
Unfortunately, yes. It was good. It was exactly what I needed for the trip. So it was essentially a hostel that you go in. Instead of just having a bunk bed, you have a pod that you can slide the door shut on. It was literally 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot. The concept was great. Functionally, it was great. It was everything I needed. A few simple improvements would have made it a whole lot better, like just a hook inside the pod. It was completely bare walls. There was one little space where you play with the lights and can do the exhaust fan, but it's pretty rudimentary. Just even a little shelf or a little hook would have been great.
The exhaust fan for while you're grilling, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. More charcoal for the grill would have been good.
Yeah, right.
No, but I mean, for a wooden pod with a shared bathroom with a bunch of strangers, it was pretty great.
How thin were the pod walls?
I didn't drill through, but the exhaust fan helped to cover up any privacy issues.
Where were you in the stack?
I was at the top.
Oh.
There were 2 stackers.
Oh, okay.
So I was on the top bunk.
Nice.
Pod number 2.
Dose. Very nice. That's quite the experience.
Pod number 3.
Pod Bay 3.
Pod Bay 3. Open the Pod Bay door, hells. Open the Pod Horde, pals.
It's more than one hell. The one hell's bad enough. We don't need another one.
Nick, today we have the exquisite pleasure of doing what we do, which is talking about a single track from the great band Jethro Tull.
That's right. That's what we do, and that's what we are doing. Today we are talking track 6 off of disc 2 from Nightcap. This is Crew Nights. And this is a little different from the last couple weeks. We're jumping in time now here. We are jumping back to 1981 at Maison Rouge Studios in Fulham, London. Our personnel is Martin Barr on electric guitar, Dave Pegg backing vocals, bass guitar, mandolin, Peter John Batiste piano and synth, and Jerry Conway on drums and percussion.
Yes, and because we're recording a month out, this will not be as timely as it feels, but we have just learned that Mr. Jerry Conway has left this earth.
That's right.
And so we'd like to give just a little moment of recognition to such a fabulous drummer.
Yep. March 29th, 2024, Jerry Conway was with us for the 1982 Broadsword and the Beast and the 1987 Crest of a Knave.
Yeah, he also played on and toured with Fairport Convention rather extensively.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to 73. There was a bit of a hiatus, but then in 1999, he joined them for a run of 9 albums.
Yeah.
And toured with them up to just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he bounced around. He worked for a lot of people. He did with Cat Stevens and all sorts of other artists, but he was a pretty steady drummer, and I think he was from Fairport initially. That's when he swapped over to Tull and then went back. Much of that pipeline that we have seen.
So King's Lynn, Norfolk has lost a wonderful legend. The history of Jethro Tull has lost a drummer, and we seek to honor his memory by talking Tull about his works.
And we will do that today about one of his works.
That work is called, Nick?
Crew Nights.
Which we already said.
Correct.
I've been listening this whole time.
Yes, and you're going to listen to Crew Nights now. Let's
load this song into the loading dock of my ears.
OSHA approved.
What OSHA doesn't know won't kill him. Nick, that was Crew Nights.
That it was. Was that the first time you've heard this song?
Sure was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just a reminder, this was remastered and re-released just last year on our Great Big Broadsword collection that came out. It is off of the double vinyl album of the 3 vinyls that came out. It was the Double-Edged Sword. It was side 4, track 3, Crew Nights. If y'all have that big old Broadsword and the Beast remaster, that's on there.
It was also released on Nightcap back in
92.
92.
Yeah, 92, 93 for us, I think, yeah.
What a fun song.
Very good. It's a very good song. It's very Broadsword and the Beast. It belongs to that era, I feel. It's very strong.
Yeah, like if Broadsword and the Beast had a couple of fun tracks on it, this would be one of them.
Exactly. They recorded it and he's like, no, that's too fun. He threw it out.
Too much sunlight and hope.
Yes, did not fit his overall style back then. Was very bleak and dark.
Well, I mean, it's just, I'm realizing that when it comes to putting together these albums, it really is an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
They're not hurting for material. It really must come down to, all right, here's the 50 songs that we've recorded. We can only fit so many of them on an album. Which 12 to 14 of them are going to tell the best story?
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, that decision is probably arbitrary.
Yeah, however Ian is feeling in the moment, however much input the producer and the record company has in saying, we think this one's a little too dark, this one's a little too whatever. And then they just pull another one out of the waste paper basket and they fill it in.
You think that's too dark? Look at this!
Watch this!
Ian, that's a bottle of spilled ink. I know!
He jumps into it and disappears into the shadow.
Goodbye! You just see little inky footprints running across the room.
Tiny little elf shoes, yeah.
How fun to hear Peter John Batiste again after a little while.
Yeah.
After like a year.
Every instrument in here, not many, of the 4 or 5 instruments that we have, they're all super clear. You can pick them all out You can focus in on the drums for the whole time. You can focus in on PJV and his wacky synth piano sound, which I love. Super fun in there.
Yeah.
It's great to experience him again. He just brings such a specific feel to his keyboard work, his mellotron work.
He really does. And we get both very synth-sounding synth and very piano-sounding synth on this track.
Mm-hmm.
That opening is so gloriously uplifting.
The bum, 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 or after that.
The first couple of notes that we hear, but then also the way that the flute comes in, it feels very positive.
The very, very beginning, that like boom, 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 like bass drum bass feel is almost identical to Old Ghosts, but Old Ghosts gets dark and sad, whereas this picks up. But boy, I sat there, I was listening to it like 3 times. It's like, what does that remind me of?
Well, and that's the era. So, I mean, I'm sure that was kind of maybe that was a sound that they were playing with, you know, a riff that was in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, Stormwatch was 79, so it was only 3 years after that. So yeah, it definitely could have been carried through.
Speaking of Jerry Conway, he is a massive driver of this song.
Mm-hmm.
And what I particularly appreciate is that from pretty early on, and most of the way through, he's kind of giving us 4 on the floor. He's giving us dum 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 dum. You know, little variations, but it has that pretty consistent every quarter note driving on.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the coming out of the bridge, it must be around the 2-minute mark, maybe a little bit later. He leads us into double time. The drums and the piano kind of team up.
Is that breakdown feel?
That kind of like dum 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 bum bum bum.
Yeah, we get just over a minute of an expansive breakdown, but they do build into that and they pick up.
Yeah, and you have PJV in the background going dum 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 dum
on the horn sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It feels like we're riding off to Gondor to look for ancient documents.
To do their taxes, yeah.
Shadowfax! There will be no more extensions this time!
Turbofax! There it is. Yeah, so that breakdown is really good. It's a standard Tull breakdown. Everybody kind of pulls their weight. PJV is in and out. He's on the horns, he's on the synth, and when they break down and slow down at the very end, that's when he gets into that piano feel. That
yes. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah. That's fun. That transition is really, really fun. Very simple, but it's really effective.
It kind of returns us to earth. You know, if the song starts out with this very kind of like working, driving feeling, and then the breakdown kind of takes us into this other realm of ascending into a heady, quicker than life, faster than the heartbeat expression of some beautiful moment that is gone too soon, but lives forever. Then PJV brings us back down to earth with his piano work, and then we can kind of get back to the song as it regularly is.
Yeah. Lest we get carried away. Yeah.
Lest we get carried away, which obviously we wouldn't want to.
No. Not in 4.5 minutes. This is a 4.5 minute song. Feels pretty quick for 4.5 minutes.
I don't even know how to perceive time anymore.
Not when listening to Tull, anyway.
Oh, also that.
Just in general.
Just in general.
We've been recording for 3 hours.
Oh, early on, I wrote down this note that And it was really about Ian singing in his scansion.
Yes, his scansion in this is awesome.
It's really interesting. It gave me the impression of being like a whaling song.
Interesting.
Do you know those old, like, Atlantic Ocean turn of the century whaling songs where they're like, we're going to get the oil and we won't be back unless we die or we get the oil from the whale. It has that sense of excitement and drive about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Greenland Fisheries. You know that song?
You've probably sung it to me several times.
I'm sure you've heard it. Or The Bonnie Ship the Diamond.
Maybe.
Okay.
I believe you. I do believe
Okay.
you. I genuinely do.
And in a way, it is a whaling song. This is a song about touring and the celebration when you have a moment to celebrate between the hard hauls of working as a crew member on these tours.
Yeah.
Very analogous to whaling. You work really, really hard. You sleep in a little tiny bunk. And if you get a day off, you party hardy. You get to be on shore for a little bit.
Yeah.
You make the most out of whatever situation and hope you get back on the boat or back on the tour bus for when it leaves the dock.
That works. That works really well, yeah. I think it must be what Ian was basing this off of.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it's,
I'm not that confident about my theory. Let's hold on just a moment.
maybe it is just that the nature of that kind of working rhythm yields the same result in the human spirit.
Yeah. I'm particularly fond of the scansion in the sense that it's almost a couplet, but you don't get your rhyme at the end of the two lines. You get your rhyme halfway through the second line on most of them. I feel like just like the breaking of the rhythm, it breaks in the middle of that second line.
Where we do get a little rhyming is crew nights, no flashlights or folding knives, best boots and road suits and 9 lives, which I just adore. What a fantastic and expressive chorus. It really, I feel like I can really see what is happening in that.
So evocative. The imagery is really good. The imagery throughout the whole thing is just very clear and distinct.
There's a bit of humor in it as well.
Oh, yes.
You know, there's a bit of even poking fun at the situation.
I think so. I don't think it's malicious, but I do think that there's like a little like...
No, it's with fondness.
It's not self-deprecating or really tongue-in-cheek because it's not Ian this time.
Right.
But it's still like...
It's not Ian Nights.
It's appreciative in a silly way, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And how fantastic that it exists. I don't know any other songs about a road crew party.
Right. At this point, we're very used to Ian every now and then sprinkling in a song about life on tour.
But it's usually from his perspective.
Exactly.
And about his aches and pains
Yeah.
or moments of incandescent beauty or at least the band's experience.
Yeah. Or even sometimes the viewer on the outside. But this is
Right.
the behind the scenes. These are the people who make
Yeah.
this all happen. And what do they do when they're not busting their asses, moving hundreds of pounds of musical equipment? This is what they do.
They drink brown liquor and pass out. Which is very analogous to what sailors do when they come ashore.
Does it have to be brown, though?
I'm looking at the text. Reading between the lines, I would say it's brown. Having known some of the guys who live this type of lifestyle, I would say it's brown. But no, it's not supported in the text.
Is there a connotation behind brown liquor versus white liquor? Clear liquor, rather? Like vodka, gin versus Scotch, bourbon?
Yeah, I think that brown liquors are seen as more manly somehow.
Yeah.
They're also reputed to give you a worse hangover, potentially, but it's all nonsense.
Yeah. It's all poison.
It is all poison.
Yeah.
Fantastic bass work from
Yeah.
Dave Pegg and fantastic backing vocals from Dave Pegg.
Yeah.
Really kind of amazing to jump back 10 years and still find David Pegg there.
Still there, still singing along in the back, trying his damnedest to be heard above Ian. And it's good.
And it's great.
Nights, no flashlights or folding knives. Best boots and road suits and night lights.
I love it when they use backing vocals from other band members rather than just having Ian doubled up. That's also I have nothing against it, but I love hearing the way that two different voices interact with each other.
There's such a difference. It's such a marked difference. It really is. Even when it's not just Ian singing the exact same thing over, like even when he tries to harmonize or bring it down a pitch or whatever, like it's the same instrument.
Still the same instrument.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when we tried having just one of us record both parts of the podcast. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't work well. That was the first, 3 albums, I think, right?
First 100 episodes.
Bet you guys didn't know. Omen, put your energy drink down and listen to this.
I need the energy so I can keep drinking. It's a vicious cycle.
It really is, yeah. Yeah. We have this week, guess what? We have this week...
Don't say it.
A brand new writer in her.
What? Oh my gosh, where do they all keep coming from?
They're trickling in. As much as I try to delete all this spam, it just keeps getting through.
This is like the new writer inners. You have to imagine our delight. It's as if you dropped a singular cricket into the enclosure of some fennec foxes. We just go freaking feral for it. We all pounce and tear up the email and get our guts all over our face.
We thought for sure we'd eaten all of the emails, and yet here's another one.
Oh my gosh, blessings from the great feeder.
This is from Andy M. The subject is, you must beat this Tull to ride.
No.
And in here, we have a jumpstart as well. Message. Very late to the party, but wanted to reach out and thank you for your podcast.
Oh.
My relationship with Tull started when I was late elementary school when my father played Thick as a Brick for me on CD in our home. That tells me that Andy is pretty young.
CD?
If it was on CD.
Wow. Yeah.
My mother found out and chastised him for having me listen to, quote, druggy music.
Oh, if shock. Oh. That's so unfair.
And so, in what became my first act of tweenage rebellion, in my free time, I busted out the lyric sheet that came with the CD, listened to the album, and memorized the entire damn thing.
Oh my God.
I'd like to thank Ian Anderson and my mother for unknowingly encouraging me to greatly expand my vocabulary at an early age.
Yeah.
After my parents inevitably divorced, I'd spend some time at my father's during the week and found he also had the original Masters/Greatest Hits CD, and I ended up eagerly consuming that too. After college, I found myself living in rural Japan for several years and needing something to listen to on the long drives in the countryside to/from work.
Wow.
I picked up copies of Aqualung and Bursting Out. Most of the local karaoke bars played awkward stock music videos. Picture girls sitting in a boat holding a basketball for no discernible reason. But on rare occasions, an appropriate music video would play along with the music. I felt some small joy when I found a local bar and the video for Living in the Past actually featured the band.
Wow.
I've listened to some Tull every year since. Thick as a Brick still gets played by me constantly, especially when I know I have about a 45-minute drive to get somewhere. Last September, my father passed, and I brought his record collection home with me. He had copies of Songs from the Wood and Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die, and it gave a booster shot for my interest in Tull. I've since acquired Heavy Horses and and thankfully found your podcast where I can actually hear people talk Tull with some level of detail. Thanks again.
Andy M., thank you so much for writing in. What an incredible jumpstart and jump continue.
Yeah.
I love that your father played it to you when you were quote unquote too young for that druggy music.
For druggy music, yeah.
Oh my gosh. What a disappointment I'm sure it was to realize how little drugs there are, how few drugs there are in Jethro Tull.
I mean, if any of the albums are druggy music, it would be Thick as a Brick and Passion Play, right? Like, probably.
I can understand the association because there were that long play conceptual thing that was associated with drugs, even though Ian Anderson is constantly proving that you don't have to take drugs to not have a good time. Do it.
He does it on his own.
He does it on his own. He does it naturally. Amazing to hear about your time in Japan as well.
Very cool.
And those must have been the Japanese releases of those albums, which probably were pretty cool.
Yeah. Ian sang it all in Japanese. He really went the extra mile.
It's an amazing talent. He stood on the other leg because they read top to bottom, right to left.
Yeah. Right. There you go. It was all in manga. Super awesome. And like, you've only been exposed to what, like a third of the albums? You've got so much more to hear. And I would recommend, since you've got an eclectic sound going so far, you haven't really stuck with an era, I would go for Benefit next. My recommendation.
I was going to recommend .com.
Oh, okay.
I love .com.
Two very different sounding albums, but also very different compared to anything else that he's heard so far. I guess Benefit could kind of be compared to Aqualung, though. I guess they could have a similar sound.
We're also assuming that he hasn't listened to all those.
Also, yeah.
In any case, if you listen to it, we hope that it brings you joy, and you are always welcome here to talk Tull with us and with this wonderful community.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you, Andy M.
Thank you so much for writing in. And it has been a while, so I do just want to remind folks to get in touch with us. You can go to fecklessmomes.com, and there's a contact form right on the front page.
.com.
Or you can write to momes@fecklessmomes.com and drop us an email that way as well.
.com.
Okay, Omen.
Nick, hello.
Here we go. Crew Nights. Let's talk lyrics.
Oh, yes, let's do. So, first of all, what is the crew? I assume we're not talking about the collegiate rowing squad.
Correct. We definitely hinted at this already. It is the behind-the-scenes folk who get the shit done.
Yeah, often referred to as roadies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like at one point that had a derogatory connotation, but I don't think it does so much so now. Maybe never did.
I think that any term for someone who does manual labor has a tinge of classism associated with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
A disdain for manual labor.
But these are the people who do the hard work. You know, Ian's not rolling his flute amp out onto the stage.
He's not rolling his flute out on the stage by himself.
He's got people who do it for him. They place his little water bottles. They place his sweat towel. They test all the mics. They do the mic tests beforehand. They roll the amps in. They set up the drum kit. They make sure everything works.
Well, and that's just the sound stuff. There's the lighting. Back in the day when there were those dramatic sets, someone had to load in the Broadsword ship.
And build it.
And rebuild it and fix it every time it broke.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, the hard work. It is extremely hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, we both have experience with being theater crew, which is exhausting, but we never traveled, right? Like, you never traveled with a theater set, did you?
Not overnight.
Yeah.
I would do day tours. What I did do in Chicago is, and a little bit in New York, is be local ground support for the touring teams.
Yeah.
And my God, I say those guys, it mostly is guys. They really are a different breed.
Yeah.
And it is so much hard work. And because they travel as a group, they're always going into different situations. And so there's a high level of stress. You know how you're supposed to do your job, but you don't know if you show up and the local crew is going to be getting in your way or refusing to give you the things that you need.
Yeah.
It's very intense.
Yeah. It was fun, though. That was one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. I'm not going to lie. Working for the Playhouse at Hofstra was a lot of fun.
There is a sense of accomplishment that you can see the results of what you've done, and you can sit back once the show has started and think, whoa, I hung that light.
Yeah.
This show is happening because I did it, even though I'm not the one on stage.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. So hopefully hopefully these folks have that sense of satisfaction as well for working as hard as they do. But they work hard and they also play hard.
They play hard to get.
Maybe not.
Tear it down in double quick time to get the A truck shifted about midnight.
Tear it down in double quick time to get the A-truck shifted about midnight.
Tearing it down refers to striking, disassembling the equipment used for the performance. The A truck, in silent singing, A has little quotes around it, making me think that there may be an A truck, a B truck, and a C truck.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for really big tours. For instance, the Taylor Swift tour, she has doubles of everything. She has set 1 and set 2. So when you see that big light up screen set that moves up and down, she's got 2 of those, and they're leapfrogging each other across the world.
Oh, wow.
So she got 2 totally separate crews. Probably Tull wasn't touring at this point to that level, but maybe they were. But in any regard, you needed more than one truck.
When you have all of the money that you can ever want, you can buy that. You can have that happen. Yeah, I do doubt that Tull was doing that.
And also, you know, the business of touring is very expensive. So
yeah, Ian wouldn't spend that money on that. He would just work his guys harder.
well, unless he knew that it would be worth it financially and make the investment. But yeah, I imagine it was a tight ship, and there's a whole logistics to everything. You have to get this truck out before this truck can get out. You have to prioritize this stuff even though it's on the wrong side.
Right. What gets loaded in at the back of the truck, because you won't need that until you unload the stuff on the front of the truck. Yeah.
Is a whole art and science to it. And I always loved loading the trucks. That was my favorite bit.
Yeah.
Figuring out the Tetrising of how to get everything in neatly.
Yeah.
The locker rooms are empty, but the strobo turners still spin with their pitching lights.
The locker rooms are empty, but the strobo tuners still spin with their pitching lights.
A strobo tuner. It's a strobo tuner. A strobe tuner is a stroboscope that uses a spinning disc with a strobe pattern that is backlit by LEDs that flash at a rate related to the frequency of the audio being analyzed.
It sounds like an effect, a lighting effect.
Yeah.
An old-fashioned lighting effect.
Yeah. It's either referencing the effect or the specific device itself, but we're seeing the locker rooms are empty, so the band's gone.
Right.
They're gone before stuff's even broken down. The strobo tuners are still spinning at this point.
And that's something that people always forget about. You know, when you see a show, the band walks off stage and you're supposed to think to yourself, well, that's all done.
Yeah,
the show is done.
Yeah.
But the show is just getting started to finish.
Depends on who you're looking at. But yeah, the people behind the scenes, they got to put down their beer and get ready to start packing.
Put down their beer. One of the times I felt the most appreciated and seen as a backstage crew member for a theater show, I think I've told you about this. I was working on this production of Macbeth. All the cast was women, and there was this whole rain sequence, and there was blood all over the stage, and I was in charge of the rain stuff. So I had to drain the pond afterwards, clean up all the blood. And the husband of the director was Peter Dinklage.
Holy shit.
He had attended opening night. And, you know, the audience was filtering out, and I was on the stage in my rain boots, literally like mopping blood up off of the stage and getting the stage prepped to be drained. And Peter Dinklage makes his way over to me, and for a small man, he has a very large presence.
Yeah.
And he came over and stood at the edge of the stage, and he looked up at me and he said, "Are you all going to come to the after party once you're finished cleaning up?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, we are. You will see us there. Thank you very much, sir." I was just like, immediately, I was just like completely overcome with his presence.
Yeah.
But nobody had ever done that before. I felt so seen in that moment. And I was like, wow, he really knows what's up.
That's really cool. No, you never told me that story. That's a great story.
Huh.
Yeah. Of all the stories you've repeated, that's the one you've yet to tell.
Gotta save something. And someone with a yellow pass gives out precise directions as to where and when.
And someone with a yellow pass gives out precise directions as to where and when.
So one of the funny things that I found in my overview of tour lingo. There's all this terminology about the passes.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
What type of pass you have. If you lose your pass, you have the pass of shame, which is this awful tag that you have to wear because you lost yours, and so it's the backup one.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure that the system is different for different tours and different...
Oh, yeah.
But it makes me think that a yellow pass is somebody who's in charge of stuff.
Yes. Someone who coordinates.
High-level person.
Right.
And here am I with a drumstick, while young girls set to rendezvous and be recognized again.
And you march with a drumstick, oh young girl, set to rendezvous and be recognized again.
This is first person. We've got a first person here. Is this Jerry Conway? Is this someone on the crew who is breaking down the drum set?
It's the only first-person reference that we get in the entire song.
Yeah.
To me, it reads as Ian standing in the middle of all this organized chaos, having found a stray drumstick and just kind of like twiddling it absentmindedly for a second and being like, there's quite a lot happening.
Yeah, it does feel like that, yeah.
And, you're like, I've helped by picking up this drumstick.
Right. This was near my flute. I guess I'll pick this up too.
Yeah. I'm part of this process.
Yeah.
Well, young girls set to rendezvous and be recognized again. So are they trying to be recognized again?
The girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're maybe following the tour. Maybe they came to the last concert. Maybe you're more likely to get spoken to and pulled in if they're like, oh,
Sure.
I saw you at the last show kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Or at least that's the logic under which they're operating.
Right.
Groupies, as it were.
Correct, yes.
And now we get to the crux of the song, the raisin for the occasion. That didn't really work. Tomorrow is an off day. Be in Baltimore by Thursday is the only law.
Tomorrow is an off day, be in Baltimore by Thursday is the only law.
So it's a Tuesday in the States on the East Coast.
Possibly. We don't even really know. All we know is tomorrow is an off day.
Yes, I surmised given the context clues. But yeah, I mean, they could be in the UK at this point. They zip back and forth all the time. Still.
And it must be, especially at that time, it must have been pretty rare to have a real off day.
Right, yeah.
So the fact that tomorrow is an off day and literally the only law that's in effect is be on Baltimore by Thursday means that all other laws are off. It is Carnival.
Right. To me, it feels like it's an off day just because they need a whole day to get to Baltimore.
It could be. They don't have to get up early to go and load the next show in, so it is it is an occasion for a party. And this is the thing that I learned working with the tech folks and especially those tour folks is, like you said, when they have the time off to be able to relax, because you're on all the time. It's not like 8 hours of work and then you're off.
Yeah.
You are on 24/7. You have to be aware even when you're asleep. You have to be on call at any moment. The stress is very high. So if you do get a chance to relax, you really do go for it and make a night of it.
Yeah.
Even if that means sacrificing sleep.
Right, yeah. The logic of, I'll sleep in a little bit tomorrow, but you still have to make it to Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're just in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Nice little jaunt.
There's a suite down at the hotel reserved for making merry with connecting doors.
Mm.
There's a suite down at the hotel reserved for making merry with connecting doors.
This makes me think that as soon as they all got booked in, whoever had the connecting doors were like, right, okay, so this is going to be the party room.
Yeah. Because it's therefore big enough. It's twice the size, and you don't have to get out of one room, go to the other. It's you pass through.
Right. The lighting man's already improvised a bar and printed invitations to the ball. I love this humor, describing it as a ball.
The lighting man's already improvised a bar and printed invitations to the ball.
But also, I feel like that speaks to the resourcefulness of people who are in this type of industry. You have to make the best out of nothing.
Yeah.
And so saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to create a bar here with these empty road boxes and zip tie all this stuff together and,
But also the next line, printed invitations to the ball, that leads me to believe that there is some sort of exclusivity here. It's not like anybody can show up. Did you get a flyer? Okay, you can come in.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the real, like, everybody thinks that they want to go and hang out with the artists, and of course they do, but like, this is the real secret party.
Yeah, right.
You probably don't want to go to.
I don't think I would.
Unless
it's just sitting with Ian while he watches the news and drinks his tea before he goes to bed.
Did you get an invite to that? Did you get that printed out?
I didn't
Wow.
yet. Did you?
Must be lost in the mail.
God damn it.
I got a court summons.
Oh,
That can't be it.
to not be there, actually.
Got a restraining order. And then this is an interesting line. Off-duty cops line corridors wearing tour t-shirts proudly, and the band may even call.
Off-duty cops line corridors wearing tour t-shirts proudly, and the bands may even call.
What is going on
They're the bouncers. They're the security for the event.
for this impromptu party?
Yeah. And I think that happens regularly with concerts in general, is you have off-duty cops do that as well.
Oh, sure. Oh, right. Because they're hired to be security.
Yeah, exactly.
Because cops are always looking for moonlighting gigs.
Yeah, right. They're proud to be there guarding Jethro Tull, and the band may even call is like maybe the excitement. They're like, oh, what if they need something from us? What if I get to give Jerry Conway a bottle of beer,
Yeah, or like, you're like, hey, this is really a party for the crew, but Dave Pegg, he said he was going to swing by.
Oh, the may call. Yeah. Like show up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally.
Yeah.
PJV promised he was going to bring me a bottle of...
He signed this keyboard for me.
He signed this... Wait a minute. Oh, I lost it. He signed this restraining order for me. There it is. Sorry to make you wait.
It was worth it.
Crew nights, no flash nights or folding knives, best boots and road suits and 9 lives.
Crew nights, no flashlights or folding knives. Best boots and road suits and 9 lives.
Oh my God, I love this so much.
So crew nights meaning nights for the crew.
Yeah. No flashlights or folding knives. I originally interpreted that to say all the different tech crews are going to put away their differences and not try to kill each other. But I think it's more likely that flashlights and folding knives are the tools of the trade.
Yes.
For what they do.
Mm-hmm. Little gang war going on.
It's like when they step out to fight, they're like, all right, which weapons do you want? Flashlights or folding knives? Ooh, flashlights.
I like that a lot.
But yeah, they don't need their working tools.
Yeah. And in fact, they're not wearing their working clothes either. They're wearing their best boots.
Their best boots.
And road suits and 9 lives.
And probably the best boots and road suits are really their working clothes, but they're a set of their clothes that they set aside.
That's nicer. They're nicer than any of the others. They have fewer holes and stink less.
Yeah. So why is it 9 lives?
I mean...
Is it because they work and party themselves to within an inch of their life all the time?
That's a thought. The other thought that I had was like a personality aspect of like, this is one life where I'm busting my ass breaking this thing down, and this is a life where I'm asleep in the bunk, and this is a life where I'm partying.
Oh, interesting. I'd read it like 9 lives like a cat.
Yeah. I knew that was a reference to that, but I couldn't quite place it. I do like your interpretation of it though.
It's sort of like you only live once, so you may live to the fullest.
Yeah. Or you live 9 times.
Live 9 times as fast as anyone else does.
Yes.
That is something that I've noticed. I mean, again, talking about these crew people in New York and Chicago, when they were on the grind, they wouldn't sleep. Speaking of energy drinks.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh yeah, I worked this gig and then I worked an overnight somewhere else and now I'm back here in the morning. And I was be like doing the math of how long I know it takes to take the train and be like,
I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah.
Pretty much. So maybe it's that sense of like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if I kill myself through partying tonight because I've got another 8 lives left.
Yeah, right. I've done worse.
Yeah.
To my body. I've done worse to other people's bodies.
Consensually.
Right.
Speaking of which, feeling that it might be wrong to temporarily belong, there's one of your interline rhymes.
Yes. Yeah.
To the PA man, that's one of the audio guys. Mm-hmm. Some angel from the Midwest is regretting being undressed. There's Midwest undressed.
Yep.
With no suntan.
Feeling that it might be wrong to temporarily belong to the PA man. Some angel from the Midwest is regretting being undressed with no suntan.
So here we get the groupie aspect.
Mm-hmm. These 2 verses have the groupie, and neither of them seem very good situations.
I get the sense that this is the moment when the fantasy of hooking up with the band turns into reality and maybe loses some of its glamour.
That's exactly what it seems like, yeah. You are not prepared for this life of the crew night.
Probably no one is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the statute of limitations is passed on all this sufficiently for us to talk about it, but do you remember the Funky Formals?
I was just thinking about the Funky Formals the other day, and I don't know why.
For the uninitiated, the Funky Formals were the traditional closing night party to the 12-week run of the fair, of the Renaissance Festival that Nick and I worked at. It was an entire festival that was over for the season. And so the party consisted of performers, actors, musicians, the security teams,
vendors,
the food craft workers, the maintenance people, all of these disparate groups, the jousters. Oh my God.
So the crew that made the Renaissance Festival run.
Most of whom at least, were picking up the very next day or the day after and driving off to some other part of the country to do it all again.
Yeah.
So it probably had a similar vibe to it. And those were the craziest parties that I've ever been to.
They were bananas.
There was a sense of abandon.
There was a sense of lack of legality. It was like this.
There was a sense that crimes were being committed at a close range.
It was like this idea of we're just offshore, so we can't be charged for what's happening here. We're in international waters. We can do whatever we want.
We're in the international waters of the soul.
Yeah, it was debauched. I was...
You were debauched.
Was I? I was a very chaste, nervous, innocent little boring kid.
But going back to that line of be in Baltimore by Thursday is the only law, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was like, you can dress whoever you want, you can sleep with whoever you want, you can...
consume whatever you want.
Yep, and as long as you don't get arrested so you can be at your next gig in a couple of days.
Right.
Oh, I don't care.
Go to town.
It's not my problem.
Yeah. Reckless abandon. The utter definition of reckless abandon.
And that party happened literally on our doorstep. That happened on the stage.
Sure did.
Above which were our dormitories.
Right. After you left, I moved over to Wildwood, which was nice and quiet. It was pretty much as far away as it could be, but...
I rented out my room for $5 a minute to all takers.
You should have.
Took a power washer to get the stench out of it.
That was scary. People dancing on that stage, feeling the entire building shake and move.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
At any rate, at any road.
That's interesting. You're only the second person I've ever heard use that phrase. Where did you hear it?
The show Rome. They used it regularly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I'd never heard it until then.
So we have the angel from the Midwest regretting being seen without a suntan.
Right.
His Polaroid is snapping. That puts us in a time period.
Mm-hmm.
The head carpenter is rapping. There's your rhyme. On the gates of dawn.
His Polaroid is snapping. The head carpenter is rapping on the gates of dawn.
So rapping meaning knocking.
Not laying down a sick diss track.
No.
About the electricians.
Right.
Maybe also.
So he's knocking on the gates of dawn, meaning he's still awake. He's there. He's greeting dawn.
He's been up all night.
Yep.
Yeah. And is taking pictures,
Right. Yeah.
which might be used as blackmail later.
Yeah. Probably some pretty spicy situations.
Sitting lonely with a warm beer, the girl with dental braces wishes that she hadn't gone. Oh, that's so sad.
Sitting lonely with a warm beer, the girl with dental braces wishes that she hadn't gone.
That was me every funky formal.
You were that girl.
I
with
was
dental
that girl.
So is she wishing that she hadn't gone because she got passed over and didn't get selected for a night of passion? Or did she realize how gross the whole thing was and is just like, oh my God, I didn't want this?
It could very well be either, but I think the note of the dental braces makes it feel like that's a commentary, and she was therefore passed over because of the braces. She's too young. She's not as attractive as a woman with no dental braces. I don't know.
It's very teethist.
It's very bracist. The bracism is out of control. And
I had to brace myself for that joke. Well, I mean, it could also be that she just, showed up, got excited, had one too many puffs off of the electric cabbage, and crashed, and then doesn't have a ride home
right, yeah.
because her friend is with the A1 guy.
Yeah. The A1 guy? The guy who brought the steak sauce?
No, A1 and A2 are audio 1 and audio 2.
okay.
Those are American modern terms. Then we finish it up.
With 2 takes on our chorus here.
One of them a variation. Crew nights, no bar fights or readers' wives, thin walls and late calls, and 9 lives.
Crew nights, no bar fights or readers' wives. Thin walls and late calls and lives.
The 9 lives thing keeps coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it also is perhaps because they are caterwauling. They're partying like tomcats.
I suppose. I think that's more of a stretch than mine, but yeah.
No bar fights, I love, because they're not at a bar. One aspect of tour life, or even summer stock life, is that if you go out to the bar to party, you have to deal with the townies.
Yes.
No, we dealt with that at the Ren Fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's that big distinction between, you're this out group and you're the townies.
And I mean, let's be honest, actors in a bar are really annoying. They're very loud. They're very pull the attention to me.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
Which most townies go to a bar to have the opposite of that, to just sit and watch a sports ball game.
But often townies are kind of rough and bristle at the idea of there being outsiders and have very punchable faces.
And hands that punch well on the other side.
You mean of the crew?
The townies punch.
They might.
Yeah.
It may not be safe to take your crew to a bar because they have so much pent-up aggression at each other that they're not going to punch each other.
Yeah.
They may try to punch a townie just for fun.
For funsies.
We didn't catch the whale, but I knocked out a townie, and I took his truck and drove it to the lake.
Which lake was that, Oban? What's the lake where Oswego is?
Oswego Lake?
Is it Oswego Lake?
Oh, Lake Ontario.
Yeah, there we go.
Ontario has swallowed her. And I've got chlamydia.
Readers' wives. No bar fights or no readers' wives. What do we got here for that? I have an idea.
Well, I've got nothing.
The people who don't go to this are the people who stay in their rooms and read.
Oh.
Their wives aren't going to be at these parties.
So the readers might show up.
Oh, no, I was thinking that they would just be with the readers. The wives and the readers stay in their room.
Well, also the idea that there might be no wives at all.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we have to frame this in a kind of traditional inherently sexist worldview in which wives are seen as the party poopers.
Right. Yeah. Because there are all these young, nubile, braced women ready to party, and if the wife's there, it's goo.
Yeah. Because she might be trying to preserve the 9 lives of some of the... Well, anyway, right. It is another factor that is leading to this sense of abandon.
Yeah, there's a scene in Almost Famous that's kind of like this, that does not end well.
Sure.
The wife there just changes the attitude of everybody, changes the mood, and it throws, especially when there's the girl that the lead singer has been courting as a groupie, and then the wife shows up, and everybody's got to be like, "Goo, I don't know who that person is."
Get in the box, Tammy.
It's my favorite song, my favorite country song.
It's my favorite box.
Tammy's box.
Yeah. Thin walls and late calls. So there's this sense, with this type of a crew, in this type of a situation, that there isn't really any privacy. There's the illusion of privacy, but everybody knows everybody else's business.
Yeah. And you only try so hard to stay private.
Because what's the point?
Yeah.
Late calls could mean calls to the police, noise complaints. It could be calls from the hotel to the hotel asking for more ice, towels. It could be late night, what we now term as booty calls.
Yeah. Could be we don't have to show up until 5 p.m. That's our late call.
Calls.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So clever.
That Ian, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, so your brain.
Where is it? I sent it to you. Did it get lost in the mail?
It's in Tammy's box.
Best boots and road suits and
Omen.
Oh.
Omen. Welcome back. You fell asleep there. Drink more energy drink.
Oh, thank you. I will.
Do you know what we're covering next week?
Nick, it's so hard for me to remember from week to week. It's almost like I have some sort of a curse on me.
Not this type of curse, but yeah, you may have a curse.
Is the next song that we're doing called The Curse?
It sure is.
Yay!
It falls in the bucket of there's only one other song like it in Jethro Tull, and we'll just leave it at that. Until next week, I am wearing my Talk Tull to Me t-shirt proudly. I am Nick McGill.
My Polaroid is a snapping. I'm Omen Thomas Sade.
We are wearing our best boots and road suits, but we only have 2 lives. We are the Feckless Momes.
And this is your connecting door to the other party room. Talk Tull to Me. Okay, pass me that crate. Pass it a little bit to me, a little bit to me. Lift.
Here you go. Here you go.
Oh, I got it.
There it
God,
is.
what a beast.
There it is.
Oh, got it on the truck. Wow. We're almost done here.
So, Donnie, we, every time we're in Cincinnati, there's a hell of an after party. Are you thinking about going to one of these?
Listen, Jake the Snake, I don't know. Last time I went to a party here in Cincinnati after our big tour night, I got the measles and the mumps in one go.
And you've been inoculated against those, and you still managed to get them.
It was super Cincinnati mumps. I don't know. What about... I was thinking about going to this one dig, though.
Yeah.
Frankie, who runs the special effects, has a tent built off of the side of his special van. He's going to have a bonfire there, and I heard he was going to have a whole crate of Zima.
Wow.
What about you?
That sounds amazing. That does sound...
You going to go to that one?
I mean, I don't know. It sounds good, but, Donna in costumes...
Yes. She did my hair one time.
Yeah, she has found a zoo that is partially abandoned.
A partially abandoned zoo?
Yeah. And the other animals are not well taken care of. So we could probably ride some of those animals. And honestly, I've always wanted to ride a hippopotamus.
That does sound tempting.
Right.
Speaking of riding things, though, and now I'm torn because Frankie said that he was going to let me ride his rocket. It's an illegal firework. It's not legal in any of the 50 states. He got it straight off of a freighter from the Philippines.
And you want to ride that. You want to put that between your legs.
I seen pictures of other guys doing it. It looks so fun. And the fun thing is you never know when it's going to go off. It's been ridden 9 times.
Oh, it's the same rocket in every one of those photos?
Yeah.
So you've got a little FOMO and you want to be one of those few people.
I kind of want to ride the rocket.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
It's choices.
Yeah. But Herb, Herb.
I know. Everybody knows Herb.
Yeah, so Herb has this great idea.
Okay.
We're going to empty out one of the tractor trailers.
Okay.
All put on roller skates.
Oh!
Set up a bar in the back, and then he's just going to do donuts in the parking lot.
Oh my God, it's been so long since I've done that.
I know.
That's why I walk funny, actually.
Yeah, no pads, no helmets.
Oh, of course not.
All glassware. That's how we do things.
Pass me that batch of cables.
There you go. Boy, those get heavier and heavier every time.
They sure do. So, speaking of cables.
Yeah.
I heard that at the zoo, there was a Bermuda python.
Oh, yeah?
That can suck the chrome off a trailer hitch, and it ain't got no teeth.
Wow. It's one of those old pythons, eh?
It's an old python. I was thinking about lathering up my lower half with beef
tallow.
With beef tallow, thank you, that we use to grease the wheels of the units that roll on and off the stage.
Right.
And letting it just go to town on me, because, I can't afford a chiropractor.
That's a point on the side of going back to the zoo.
That's a point on going back to the side of the zoo. I tell you what.
What is it?
Well, what if we go to the first part of the night at the zoo?
Yes.
And we make our way over to Frankie's Firework Express.
Yes.
He said that he's going to be doing fireball shots. And I don't know if he was talking about the drink or if he was talking about shooting fireballs at each other, which either way sounds good.
Tennis balls dipped in kerosene are a great time.
That no one has ever regretted getting kerosene-soaked tennis balls fired at them out of a t-shirt launcher in the abandoned lot next to the Central Pavilion Theater.
And then we round out the night in the back of that semi-truck with the roller skates.
Yeah, now tell me, is it going to be a traditional roller skate party in the sense that the only thing that anyone will be wearing are the roller skates, or is it one of those newfangled everybody has to wear pants ones?
I haven't heard anything, so I think we can fight for the case of going traditional. We are sticklers for tradition.
We can wait and see what the vibe is when we roll up, and if not, I have the perfect after party that we could go to.
Oh, yes?
Oh, it's very exclusive. I have an invite here written on the back of a handkerchief.
Oh.
Yeah, it was given to me by the actual band.
That's impressive. I barely get to see the band. I'm excited now.
I'm actually not allowed to watch them.
Court mandate.
It's in my contract. I'm not allowed to make eye contact, but this is kind of a gray area.
Okay. What is it?
They all get together at the back of the Cincinnati Hyatt. In a dark kitchen room. They get all of the waitstaff, all of the young waitstaff to gather round and light candles. And one by one, they all take turns lying down with bottles of olive oil drizzling all over them. And they listen to Talk Tull to Me, which I know you know. I don't have to tell you. It's a proud member of the Feckless Momes audio network.
That sounds like the best way to end the evening at 3 p.m.
Bazinga!